for Tamale South. That is a given. I'm yet to see a candidate who can beat the Haruna Iddrisu magic in Tamale South. I've always told you that my politics is one of visibility and one of credibility. And in terms of availability, I relate well, even though I have not been able to solve all the problems. And I would not be able to solve all the problems. I will just do some with government support to ameliorate some of the problems back home. There are still problems of poor road infrastructure. Last night, my mother was saying that on radio she couldn't sleep and that the people of Dwane were insulting and abusing me. What are you going to do about it? How I wish she knew that fixing a road is not my obligation or mandate, but that of the state and government, which is not able to do it, and the district assembly. But I went to bed with the abuses over fixing Dwane Road and Dungu area road in the Tamale South constituency, and then Vitung Tour, which has started. So we engage government to see how that is done. But the good news is that in the Tamale metropolis, I've built more clinics or health structures than the district assembly, given some of the support that we get, to the credit of the member of parliament, a number of cheap compounds, let me call it properly. We are looking forward to commissioning one in Adublile on the Kumasi Road, where I share a boundary with Honorable Jinapo and the NDC proper Jinapo, and then we also will be commissioning Nyuhani and Yaile as the day go by, as my contribution to improving quality healthcare.
Okay. You know, I know this is quite, sudden to ask you, because I was hoping to ask you towards the latter part of the conversation. But you saying that you definitely run again for Member of Parliament in 2024, does that say, or is this you telling people that, you know what, forget about claims that I may run for president in 2024? Should we forget about it?
I've heard that, and I've heard many commentaries. And as I've indicated strongly, we need a united front, and we need to unite and coalesce around President John Dramani Mahama, as he then was, to see how he recaptures power for the good of the Ghanaian people and to continue some of his worthy initiative. What Ghanaians need to understand is, upon hindsight, President Mahama will make a better president, having appreciated some of his own weaknesses and strengths whilst ruling, some challenges that obviously he could not deal with, and some that today, sitting back and observing and watching, he is in a better position to be able to fix many of those problems. So he come a renewed person, better prepared than he was before, because he now has the benefit of hindsight. Whilst in office, outside office, this is the way to go. And I think that the party should unite around him. That is not to say that he should not be subjected to democratic processes in emerging as a leader and flag bearer of the party. Nobody should close any door or any window or opportunity to any other person. We are a party of opportunity. The NDC gives opportunity to young people, and therefore those who are desirous of running against him must be given fair and equitable opportunity and platform consistent with Article 55 of the 1992 Constitution, where we must run the party to reflect democratic values and ethos. And I believe that in terms of popularity, he's 90% ahead of those wanting to run against him. And maybe they'll run to share some 10% if he finally makes a declaration, as I believe he has done.
Would you like to be president someday? I mean, your name seems to come up quite.
I thought that today we should be discussing.
We will discuss it, but I mean, since this is, let's just deal with it. Let's just deal with this. Would you like to be someday?
I don't know my tomorrow, but I'll serve this country in any capacity as I'm already doing.
But you have dreams and aspirations.
It is not only in the office of the president that you can contribute to the public good or the distribution of public goods and services. I should thank those persons who find my person fit to want to be president or want to run for president or want to support it for president. But God's time, as I've always said.
But would you like to be president someday?
I thought that this is to be answered by God. If I live to see tomorrow and live to see the future will determine what I do with my life. But at least I've acquired what is basically necessary to be able, as I've always said, to keep my eye on the ball.
You're watching GH Today. I am Sewam here, and I'm talking to the Minority Leader of Ghana's Parliament, Haruna Iddrisu. You can join in the conversation using the hashtag GH Today. You can tweet at me at Sewam here. You can tweet at GHOne TV. We're streaming on Facebook as well. If you have any questions at all for the Minority Leader, send them through, and I will ask him. Now, Haruna Iddrisu, just when you came in, we aired a story on fixing the sick mortuaries, and I want you to comment on that quickly before we get into the substantive conversation. This is a campaign that we have been running for close to 2 weeks now. We saw the sorry state of the mortuary. It has been like that for quite a while. We have called on the duty bearers from the Ministry of Health to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. No response. We have been totally ignored. But you have seen it today. Your reaction?
Not just seen it. I'm a learner as far as mortuary rights are concerned, and at a basic level, I learned the basic, how to bid farewell and see of dead persons. Ghanaian culture respects the dead as joining ancestors and God. I've been to the Kolebu mortuary a number of times. Indeed, the head of mortuary, Dr. Denchi, is my friend, if not a brother, so to speak. I'm currently editing my memoir, Shadow in Darkness, and one of my observations in the book is a visit to the Kolebu mortuary, where a young mortuary man succinctly described the state of the mortuary for me when he said, "Hey, Haruna, Ebola body I carry, AIDS body I carry, look at my pay." This is how he demonstrated it when mortuary men were to be on strike. And I visited the Kolebu Teaching Hospital on the instructions then of late President Mills. The mortuary man looked at me and started speaking as if I couldn't even have the confidence or courage to enter the morgue. I did, and I do frequently, and is one of the worthy things anybody can do. So there's conditions of service have never been the best. I'm not sure that today they earn up to 800,000 Ghana. I'm not too sure, but it certainly would be. Those days, it was around 300-400 Ghana cedis.
I mean,
gross.
800 Ghana cedis.
Gross, those days. I'm talking about the 2009, 2010. You remember the strike of medical doctors. This was the period that this happened. So, the deadly thing about mortuary men strike is that when you don't manage them well and they do strike, they allow bodies to decompose at the wards. You can't live with that stench in a ward when you still have patients that nurses and doctors must attend to. So government must find a way to improve the working conditions. I've always said that to my credit and to the credit of President John Dramani Mahama then as President of the Republic, we gave health workers their first ever codified conditions of service. All the category of health workers got it under President John Dramani Mahama. They have struggled through wanting something to be recognized as their working conditions of service. The first time ever that we had that sign was probably around 2015, thereabout. And that arguably have contributed into improving the lot of the Ghanaian health worker. We are not at it yet because as a country, we still not have been able to achieve what you call decent wages or decent work. We are still struggling with minimum wage. you can see the tango going on between government and the trade union Congress, and CLOSAC, a very strong body which controls about 12 other worker groups relative to matters relating to pensions or to what government itself promised. I mean, I just can't believe it that this government could promise civil and local government workers what they call neutrality allowance. Unbelievable. So what government must do would be to honor whatever they pledged and said they're going to do for workers. Minimum wage and public sector wages will be a difficult call, but the state of the economy, devastating economic crisis that Nana Addo Dankwa is pretending about, and I believe that even the president and the minister for finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, themselves cannot explain how Ghana got where we are today. They can't just simply explain. I mean, a country where there's unrelieved poverty, prolonged unemployment, allowances of teachers and nurses, trainees have not been paid. NAPCO workers have not been paid. There's outstanding arrears that have piled up to about 5% of GDP, which
we will talk about the state of the economy, but I want us to wrap up on the conversation on the mortuary. So beyond even the workers,
I'm done with
the
mortuary.
Workers. No, beyond the workers, I want you to speak to the state of the mortuary itself.
Yes, what you are trying to achieve as GHOne.
Yes.
I think that infrastructure-wise, I mean, when you go in, the air conditions are not properly functioning, and probably many people should learn to go the Muslim way. What are you keeping a dead body for, really? What are you keeping it for? When you die, by our practice, which is established, you are buried as quickly as possible. Ghanaians endure avoidable costs associated with the dead. And I think that we need to do something about it. But as I said, it's a very sensitive, emotive, cultural issue, and one needs to be cautious what you say about it.
Okay. Now, thank you very much. Like I said earlier, we have called on the health ministry. Nothing has been said about it. We're hoping that when you see them in Parliament, you draw the attention. When Parliament resumes, you draw the attention that we have a story and we are trying to get them to respond to it. Okay, now let's talk about your job as minority leader. How has it been? I mean, you know, when this 8th Parliament started, looking at the hung nature of it, a lot of people expected, you know, some scrutiny of government's policies and whatnot. Do you think that you have lived up to that expectation?
I cannot be a judge in my own court. What I would say is that the minority caucus and minority group, if you appreciate the fact that we're 106 and we are 137 today, you will respect this minority group. We build public faith, we build public confidence in the NDC as an alternative, credible party. And therefore, our numbers increased from 106 to 137. That, for me, is an achievement. We got Speaker Alban Sumani Bagbin elected, first ever as Speaker who doesn't belong to the ruling government. And with a hung parliament of 137, 187, it meant that we reached out and got him elected. And we trust that Alban Sumani Bagbin will leave some footprint in deepening transparency and accountability of Ghana's legislative organ, and contributing to deepening good governance and allowing for more transparency and building an accountable parliament which is accountable to the people of Ghana. That, I believe, can also be counted as an achievement. I've heard some of the naysayers say that, hey, Haruna Iddrisu and the minority and E-Levy and even approval of ministers. Someday I'll share with the public what my position is.
But I want you to share it with us today.
But what many don't understand is what we call the chamber dynamics. What happens in the chamber at a particular time, what numbers you have. But again, we are the same NDC minority that have held government 4 months into a major economic policy of a budget with its revenue string of e-levy. Tell me, in America, Congress is equal. In Sierra Leone, it's equal. They've not been able to achieve the feat, thanks to the tenacity and purpose of the minority, all our members, and to the expanded leadership who've been very supportive. We may probably have lost some momentary judgment in terms of tactics and strategy, where probably you believe that let's vote on this matter, and you have part of leadership saying that no, they don't have numbers to take a decision. Let's test the matter in the Supreme Court. So when you hear the Attorney General Dami say that you don't go to court speculating, is he suggesting that we are speculating when we say that a minority of 136 members of parliament walked out of parliament? That cannot be speculation. Adwoa Safo not present in parliament that particular day cannot be speculative. Gyekye Quayson in court and not being in parliament cannot be speculative. Ebenezer Kum, either in an ambulance or at the clinic, not physically present in order to be able to participate in parliamentary process, is not speculative.
Okay.
So if you add 136 to 3, that gives you 139, less 275. You should know that the numbers simply don't add up.
Okay.
To meet the threshold, no, of a requirement under Article 104 that the Supreme Court ruled that minimum 138. You certainly didn't have 138.
Okay, we will come back to the e-levy conversation, Mr. Haruna Iddrisu.
The Attorney General argued that the vote was by voice vote.
We will come back to the e-levy conversation. I want you to address the issue that you were talking about earlier, the backlash from especially members of your party. I mean, a lot of people have hailed you, the minority in parliament, for all of these things, but at the same time, there been quite some backlash as well.
Some have condemned, some have said, Haruna, your oblong head, maybe I've covered it today with my house.
Some said that you were boxed.
Yeah, essentially not. This is not the first time I'm in opposition, please. I've been in opposition with Nana Addo Dankwa, then in parliament with John Dramani Mahama in parliament in 2005. And therefore, when I hear this spurious and despicable lies, just dismiss it in limine. It certainly cannot be my motivation that I'm in politics because of money. I'm still accountable, you know. Sharing this pleasant matter, my mother even still holds me accountable. You know, the last time my mother was asking me that, hey, Haruna, where do you get money to be taking plane from Accra, Tamale, Accra? She probably doesn't even know my word. So I'm still accountable at that particular level.
So then what explanation do you give to your supporters?
It can be for some other reasons.
So tell us, what explanation do you give to them for coming out publicly to tell us that, look, these ministers, we will make sure that they do not get passed. Then a couple of weeks later, you make a U-turn.
We've long passed that, no, it went through a voting process. I don't control adults like you as to how you vote when you go and do a secret ballot. I don't control that as leader. Do I follow you to?
But it is under your leadership.
Yes.
You couldn't get your people together to vote against it.
Those can be part of the weaknesses in understanding how others behave. But essentially, we've done pretty well in holding government accountable. The Ghanaian people should appreciate it. Probably you'd have been paying 175 e-levy and not 150, thanks to a minority. Probably, but for the Honorable Sam George and Honorable Ablakwa and many of, particularly led by the Honorable Atuforsen, the Honorable Adongo and Jinapo and Co., you probably would have had a loot and share of a $40 million, $241 million going into building an infrastructure for e-levy when you don't need it because the telecos are already collecting e-levy. Why do you want to spend $240 million of tax money to build an infrastructure for what? What you need is let them understand that they are to impose a levy and rake in the money for government. So I haven't said that I'm leader at perfection. I've never said that. So people are free to be critical of me. I've heard people say that, if you had stayed in, even if you had allowed one person to stay in, maybe the person doesn't understand arithmetic. 137 plus 1 would have given you 138.
Okay.
So you would have met the arithmetic requirement under Article 104. In any case, have Ghanaians asked themselves, including you, how come that the minority is not right, the minority is wrong? But you saw a desperate majority leader urging the speaker to put the question.
But what also informed your
ramifications of our actions.
What also informed your strategy to walk out at the very last minute? Because a lot of people say that's an anticlimax. What informed that strategy?
Absolutely, I've taken note of it. It's not the best of decisions for the Ghanaian public and for many stakeholders who expected us to have subjected it to a vote. But probably a vote could have ended 137, 136 that day. Because don't forget, they held GHToday to be in court, not to be present. So we're already -1. They managed to bring in Ebenezer Kum to a clinic, not into the chamber. Probably the speaker could have accommodated him at conclave to exercise a vote. That would have meant that the NDC in any case would have been defeated by 136. And then get it right, the Ghanaian people did not give NDC an absolute majority. We have 137, they have 137 plus 1, 138. If the NPP had managed to bring in probably Adwoa Safo, all this matter of bringing an end to e-levy probably could have been earlier concluded. So this is the best we could do. But as I said, we were convinced that less 136, less GHToday, less Adwoa Safo, and less Kum, who was not physically present, you couldn't take a decision with 136. That is the matter we will be proven before the Supreme Court. We have the Hansard, we have the video when the Supreme Court itself says that. And then you had the Supreme Court. I don't want to go into the matter because it's sub judice. Yeah. But you heard them saying that they have a record of 266. The day that the NDC minority walked out, Parliament was 274, less only Adwoa Safo. So what happened that day? So these are all matters that we are waiting for outcome. So a part of us were convinced that they don't have the number for decision. So it was meant to frustrate them not to be able to take a decision in order to continue to fight e-levy. That is where we left it. I don't think that that is a defeat, essentially. You see, justice must be seen to be done. Without Kum, without Adwoa Safo, without GHToday, with a minority of 136 walking out, how could you have 138 to take a decision? Matter to be determined by the Supreme Court.
At the mention of James GHToday, what is the situation now? How many members of Parliament do you have under your wing?
As far as we are concerned, there is still a matter. You see, the Constitution guarantees every Ghanaian citizen a right to a free and fair trial, conclusive. There is a matter affecting GHToday, which is before the Supreme Court, an interpretation of Article 94 and parts of it, which the Supreme Court is yet to make a determination. I've heard people compare GHToday's Asenov to Secondy's Boku. They are not the same. At the time that Secondy was taking the oath as MP, he was still a citizen of another country. The brilliant Kweku Azan have made a brilliant exposition. You remember the Bilson versus Jerry Rawlings, the distinction between allegiance and citizenship. In any case, GHToday was elected in December, having been cleared by the Electoral Commission. The only delay to his having his final documentation was COVID. The law ought to appreciate those circumstantial intervening impossibility. So that is the matter.
Where is the case as we stand? Because we know that the court has asked him not to perform any duties and hold himself as a member of Parliament.
He is an elected member of Parliament.
When the court has said that he should not hold himself out as a member of Parliament.
He is challenging the decision of the court.
So in the meantime, do you have a representative for Asin North?
Ask the court.
I am asking you. You are the minority leader.
And I say, ask the court. Whilst he is challenging their decision, it means the matter is inconclusive. And to the extent that the Constitution guarantees him a right to a fair trial reasonably, you cannot deny the people of Asin North representation.
So do you still see him? Do you still see him as a member of parliament on your side?
Relating to SAL, there are matters in Techima. We've not seen the courts injunct them.
But we are not discussing that. I'm asking you.
We have said that the courts are wrong, even to have taken a decision to injunct him. But let there be a finality of a conclusive determination of the matter relative to the constitutional question that Uncle Chaji Chikata is handling. If you are not done with it, you cannot say that he should not represent the people of Asin North. To do so will be to deny the people of Asin North rightful representation in Parliament.
Okay. Now let's go back to e-levy. You have said that you have taken note of the comments following the walkout. You admit that it was probably not the best. You had a plan in mind. It didn't work, but it's not a defeat, right? I mean, the former president on May Day, when he was speaking at the Ghana at Crossroads speech, said that the next NDC government will repeal the e-levy act. Is this a position that yourself and the minority caucus share?
Yeah, absolute. There are those we call the first 100-day decisions of Excellency John Dramani Mahama if he gets elected as president. And one of those first 100 days, in fact, I don't even say 100 days, some must happen within the first 1 week that Parliament is sitting. The matter of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's birthday and the holiday of 1st July and the Holiday Amendment Act will be relooked at and reviewed accordingly and repealed accordingly.
Why?
To reflect the historical truth of the beyond 1844 and beyond the evolution of the Gold Coast and Ghana. And one of the legislations that Excellency John Dramani Mahama has pledged to repeal, and I pray and hope that we have a parliamentary majority, which we would have, we are working towards it, will be a repeal of e-levy, because we still strongly believe. I mean, can you imagine what is going on? People pickpocketing from your mobile wallet, is that right? People pickpocketing from your Momo account, it's not right. I mean, it is not only disruptive of the financial ecosystem, but uncertain and inconvenient legislation of an e-levy. See, the panic is created in the system. You know, people not knowing what to do, to cash in, to cash out. People going with ATM withdrawals. When the law doesn't provide for a deduction, you are deducting it. That is illegal. You deduct somebody's transfer when you should not, when the law doesn't provide for it. I think that Ghana Revenue Authority must wake up and do what is right and appropriate within the law. They are not a law unto themselves. Indeed, if there was justice in Ghana and there was a fearless and independent judiciary, the GRA should have been cited for contempt. When we were about moving our interlocutory injunction on they not proceeding on e-levy, they should have demonstrated respect to the Supreme Court at the apex court of the land for 2-3 days to allow for a determination of the matter. They proceeded on 1st of May to do e-levy when a matter was pending in court. Where in the world will this happen to the Supreme Court? Because the GRA thinks that they are above the law. It's an affront to the rule of law.
But the Supreme Court eventually dismissed that interlocutory injunction, didn't they?
Come again to e-levy.
They dismissed the interlocutory injunction.
I've already given you indication how much the minority have contributed to the avoidance of loot.
So in the first 100 days, of Mohammed's administration, you will repeal the e-levy?
It is gone.
And then what else? You talk about the holiday.
It's gone. We will improve tax collection generally in the country, and we will tax the unbanked and the untaxed, but certainly not an e-levy. I've heard people...
How do you intend to do that?
I've heard some unenlightened constitutional lawyers say that John Dramani Mahama doesn't have the power. They should read Article 108 of the Constitution well. every financial bill or motion must be introduced by the president. So it means that John Dramani Mahama has even concluded the matter that he will be running for president. In my view, when he says that I'll repeal it, he's relying on the strength of Article 108, that financial bills to alter it, to amend, to give meaning to any monetary bill that has tax implications must emanate from the executive and the president. If he is, he would initiate it and will support it as parliament. I will still be a member of parliament if I live to see that period. So when he says that he will repeal it because of the confusion it is creating. He will repeal it because of its disruption to the financial ecosystem. The banks are panicking.
Are we not seeing the disruptions because it is at the initial stages of implementation?
So if you are unprepared, when you are not prepared and you give birth, how do you call it? They say ectopic. This is an ectopic e-levy. You understand? When you are not prepared, you don't birth. That is why they should have taken their time.
But eventually, probably, things will settle down. And it's a good source of revenue. It is not.
Again, Sewa, I hope that some Ghanaians will appreciate this minority. But for us, this government wanted to implement e-levy midnight of November 29th. It took this minority to compel them to engage stakeholders, including the Ghanaian public. So when I heard Ken Ovrata say that he's doing town hall meeting, it was not his wish. It was not his desire. He was compelled by a strong opposition to engage the public and to engage fintech institutions and other institutions to understand it. And Sewa, maybe I should give you this example today. Even in my heart, I'm still convinced that e-levy is unconstitutional. But maybe faith and confidence in our court. You are working with GHOne. You are given a salary of 2,000 at the end of the month. You choose to give 1,800 of that money. It haven't been deducted with your income tax and pay as you earn. In giving that 1,800 to your mother, you are still being taxed.
Okay.
How can this be constitutional?
You say that, we should give some. We should use
income. You've already paid
Haruna,
tax on your income.
You say that we should cut the minority some slack. In other parts of the country where the government has sought to introduce, some tax on electronic transactions. We see countries like Uganda where the rate was 1%. After public outcry, it was reduced to 0.5%.
Not just parliamentary outcry, you said public outcry.
But so we are not in parliament with you.
No, but
are we in parliament with you? At the very crunch time, you decided to walk out. We are not in parliament with you.
Done the crying.
You say that you were crying on our behalf.
We've done the crying from November to March. Public protests should not necessarily manifest on the floor of parliament. It can manifest on the streets. Let the Ghanaian people take it up. This is not part of the obligation of a member of parliament. In Cameroon...
Well, you represent people.
No, in Cameroon...
You represent people.
In Cameroon, it took public protests for government to water down the impact of an electronic levy from 0.50 to 0.25. In any case, nowhere in the world have I heard, and you may not get the impact today. E-levy will scare away investors from this country simply by undertaking a bank transaction. I've transferred $1 million or 1 million Ghana cedis to a company to undertake an activity for me. That's why we say that you don't tax savings, you don't tax capital. Yet, just because I have sent the 1 million, you are taking 17,000 out of that money. How can this be right and legally apt in a country which says that it is seeking to attract investors? Have you asked other countries where it is 0.25, 0.50, in your case 1.50? Prohibitively high, punitive, and as I said, this same government said they believe in financial inclusion and that they were building a robust financial structure for a cashless economy. So now if you want to send 1 million to Solar, where is your village? You come from, where do you come
Seria, in the Ashanti region.
So what?
Seria.
So we are like us in Sewa. So if you are going to send 1 million, you are now better holding it in your
I
back.
don't even have that. Stay with us. You're watching GHToday. We'll be back shortly after. I'm sitting with the minority leader of Ghana's parliament, Haruna Iddrisu.
We are changing, so should you. If you're dreaming, don't be afraid. And in the valleys, keep your head up high. Dare to dream with Puma drinks. Yeah, believe it, you can achieve. Oh yeah, clap your hands for the whole new vibe. Make we set the bliss. Oh yeah, come alive. Let me hear you. Puma drinks, a whole new vibe. Another quality product from Casa Precon.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Excuse me, please hurry up. I don't have enough time.
Hello.
Driver, you don't have an AC in your car. Your tire is bad and you are here chilling. I'll bet you Polish.
I got a message for you.
Madam, one more.
Belcans is perfect for you. Refreshing.
Feel the refreshing taste of Bell Fruit Cocktail in a can this festive season with a blend of fruit extracts and flavors that hit just right. It will always do the magic on a hot steaming day.
Pasta.
Thanks. Who said it's for you? It's for Bell Fruit Cocktail. It costs so rough.
How you?
Bell Fruit Cocktail is on point.
Belcans, refresh in style. Another quality product from Bellaco. This advert is FDA approved.
Belcans are now available on Jumia Ghana.
Don't just wake up your child. Wake up the champion in them. Give them energy to help them win every day with Milo at breakfast. Let Milo with Active Go and the natural goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa helps wake up the champion in your child.
This advert is FDA approved.
My name is Acrobatic. People call me Who Knows Tomorrow. I don't want to hide the good things from the good people of Ghana. Let me tell you about watching your favorite kid show, movies, telenovelas, sports, news, etc. and etc. in crystal clear, high definition picture.
This year, we know come to play. Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy, Mr. Drew, and I'm going to show you how to pause and rewind live TV, and also program your HD Plus decoder to record shows when you're not home.
Middle car. HD Plus, if it came, tell you bring your phone, make a download my HD Plus app on it for you, so you can watch TV on your phone with free data every month.
Hello, my name is Nana Abba Anamwa, the General Manager of GHOne TV and Star FM. Before sharing a post on social media, take a minute to do 4 things. 1. Look up the source to check if it's credible. 2. Check the dates. Reposting old news stories doesn't mean they are relevant to current events. 3. Read the whole article, not just the headline. And lastly, consider if your own beliefs or concerns might affect your judgment. If you're not sure of the authenticity of the news source, do not share the post. If you spot false news online, report it immediately to Facebook. Join the fight against false news online. Let's work together to create a no false news zone.
This message is brought to you by Facebook and EIB Network.
You're welcome back to the show. This is GH Today. I am Sewa Amehie, and I'm seated with the Minority Leader of Ghana's Parliament and also the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Tamale South constituency, Mr. Haruna Iddrisu. If you just joined us, well, we've been talking about e-levy, the minority, and what they have been doing under the watch of Haruna Iddrisu. Now, Ms. Haruna Iddrisu, now let's talk about the state of the economy. How would you assess President Akufo-Addo's performance and the state of the Ghanaian economy now?
The Ghanaian economy today can better be described as one in an economic crisis, rising cost of living, and rising cost of doing business. I'm told that if you bought something for 50 Ghana cedis, you are more likely to return paying 65 or 75 Ghana cedis after 24 or 12 hours. Unpredictable, unsustainable debt. Now, imagine some of the things that Nana Adudankwa and Dr. Bawumia are saying, that we've done this, we've done that, we'll fix this infrastructure, we've done this. If President John Dramani Mahama, as he then was as reckless as they are and went a borrowing, he probably could have fixed even more infrastructure. I mean, they inherited a public debt, cumulative, 120 billion. Auditor General, 122 billion as of January 2017. Today, our public debt is in the region of 381 billion. 80% or 81% of GDP. Unsustainable, by the words of the World Bank and the IMF. Yet they say superior economic management and that they were borrowing responsibly. They have questions to answer. And one of the key things, if President Nana Adudankwa truly believes in transparency and accountability, let him, as President of Ghana, even if he has faith in his own pledge that he wants to protect the public purse, let him authorize a forensic audit into COVID expenditure. Nothing more. It will be revealing, it will be damning. He simply cannot do it because he knows where COVID resources went. The donors are not happy. They've conveyed same to him. Let him. As he was doing when he took office, every NDC minister was subjected to some forensic audit of a sort. Let him COVID expenditure. Let him just do an
When you
audit.
talk about COVID expenditure, do you mean the ones that were given to Gloria Ekufu or the ones we got from foreign agencies?
No, I think you have been unfair.
No, I think we need that clarification.
No, and
I think we need that clarification.
I don't like you mentioning names.
Well, no, the COVID Trust
yes,
Fund.
So,
okay, so let's make it COVID Trust Fund.
Yes, you got a name wrong, so I'll leave it there. But I don't want to.
Sophia Ekufu. Yeah.
Yes, but I was rather helping you not to be mentioning names. She's only superintended over
the mentioning of her name is not to her, it's to her, the organization that she heads, which is the trust fund. So I'm asking, is the transparency you are demanding from the trust fund, or you are asking for transparency from the monies that we received from foreign agencies? That's
no. Hers, by the law that we did, she is accountable to Parliament, and I believe and trust she would account to Parliament.
Okay.
We are talking of $1 billion plus another 1 billion plus another 1 billion plus whatever money they withdrew from stabilization fund. We need accountability for it. Now, and you
Ms.
yourself,
Haruna, what do you know that Ghanaians do not know?
It is because I do not know. That's why I'm asking for an audit. So you are getting it wrong. I'm not saying I know. I'm only saying that COVID resources were misused. I want to understand how it was misused. Simple. So if President Akufo-Addo believes in the tenets of transparency and accountability, let him audit COVID. Now, when you come, I was still on debt. Take the construction industry. Contractors are paid for longer periods, yet they have to endure about 23 to 24% interest rate by banks. The cost of cement have gone high. Cost of iron rod have gone high. Thankfully, this government conveniently finds excuses in a Ukraine war, which is less than a 90 days war. So the economy had already gone bad. In fact, the World Bank, in its review of Ghana, even under Article 4, admits that our economy was inside poor and dire state even before COVID. But you find Nana Danko and Dr. Mahmoud Baumia trying to find justification in the two twins of COVID and Ukraine. That can't save them. You simply borrowed recklessly. They have to service debt. And Ghana spends about 37 billion Ghana cedis annually on debt service. Maybe what you should understand, and I don't even see e-levy walking them out of any economic crisis. If you were to service 1 billion US dollar debt, maybe at 6 Ghana cedis per dollar. Today you need 7.5 Ghana cedis per the same dollar. It means your debt service allocation probably will have to increase from 37 billion to 45 billion. What tax will bring you that additional money? When e-levy, you are now being told 4.5 or some 6.5 billion, and they have to refund back to persons who have been illegally and unlawfully suffered deduction without justification. The GRA must work to law. They simply cannot function and go into people's wallets and pocket and take money and say that we'll refund it to you later. If you were unprepared, you ought not to have started this particular initiative. So that's the economy. Now you are in Ghana with me. What's the state of GHTFund? The GHTFund administrator has not received any money from government since July last year. GHTFund. Now this same government, which boasts that they have superior borrowing tactics, have gone to use the GHTFund receivables to borrow money. So today, if GHTFund rakes in 1.3 billion Ghana cedis, GHTFund needs 866 million Ghana cedis to service debt, because another Kenoforiata have gone to create some structure at GHTFund called Dachi. I have said that Dachi is fraudulent, and I repeat it, Dachi. GHTFund has a board. GHTFund has a minister. GHTFund has an administrator. In order to loot money away, they've created some financial structure called Dachi, saying that Dachi must now pay GHTFund contractors. What to be that? Have you heard that before? Even under Kufuor, GHTFund paid contractors. Under John Evans Mills, GHTFund pays President Kufuor, GHTFund paid contractors. How come under this administration, we propose that they are superior financial wizards? They have to create an intermediary structure called Dachi and allocate 100 million Ghana cedis this year for them. That 100 million can build how many classroom blocks and can feed a number of Ghanaian children under school feeding. Common fund is in arrears. It's not being paid. They are borrowing. District assemblies and regional coordinating councils are dysfunctional. Nothing is going on. Yet they say pride is that we are doing well. I've seen the National Health Insurance issue a statement when the Honorable Akando took them on. Don't worry. When they are reeling under pressure, we'll laugh at them, because they know that
but at least you've seen their statement.
And I say they are surviving on bonds. So they should stop pretending that all is well. In any case, the NPP in 2016 said that NHI was in coma. Coma when other countries were coming to learn their experience. What about it? The NPP promised, maybe Ghanaians haven't even gone back to their manifesto. They say, they will create development authorities. So where are the development authorities? Coastal Belt, Middle Belt, Savannah Belt, apart from some of them siphoning money and being asked to go home, not being prosecuted. When you saw a chief executive ask for money to be donated into an account, all they asked for was that he should go home. Is that enough? You must make corruption a high-risk activity. We found the Chiraj finding on Public Procurement Authority, and I've been a strong proponent of, in matters of economic graft and corruption, I think that Ghana will have to shift the burden of proof so that people will prove their unjustified wealth. I believe in that particular system.
Okay.
And I have said that we need to comprehensively review our asset declaration regime. They are not commensurate with what people earn and what properties they have and own, and politically exposed persons is still happening. And therefore, our asset declaration regime is not biting enough. We need to be able to look at that. So when you come to the economy, 1D, 1F, I've heard Dr. Alain Chirmanting saying that he borrowed money to support some private sector institutions. First of all, when he borrowed, he didn't even come to Parliament. Is that right? That's in breach of Article 181. Any public funds that you are borrowing, you ought to come to Parliament for purpose of 1D, 1F. I've heard them still talk about fraudulent Ajapa being in the news in the United Kingdom. Since when did they get parliamentary approval as required under Article 181, 185 of the Constitution? So certainly
we understand that the Ajapa deal will be brought back.
No, we are being told that there's a transaction in a London Stock Exchange. That is illegal. That is illegal.
So
that
it hasn't been tabled before Parliament.
Were you not in Ghana when the Supreme Court ruled on the Iddrisu case? That transactions of that nature, in any case, why did they bring it to Parliament? And you don't have parliamentary approval, and you are already in town selling it. Selling what?
If they brought it back to Parliament, would you support it?
Never, no.
What is it about the Ajapa deal that you do not like that will never make you support?
Our mineral resources should not be mortgaged. You see, what President Akufo-Addo and Ken Ofori-Atta are doing conveniently is to create burdens for a future head of state and president, not them. They are borrowing so that anybody who assumes the reins of power in January 2025 will suffer to service their mess. That's not acceptable. Whether we have mortgaged our mineral resources or not, per annum we get about $130 million. Let it be. That's enough. In any case, go and look at how much money which has accrued to the Mineral Income Investment Fund. That's our money. Why do you want to mortgage mineral royalty? By the way, that reminds me, Ghana. When the Supreme Court ruled on the Exxon Cubic matter, the Honorable Suhini proceeded to court on other matters of ratification relative to other mining agreements that have not been ratified. Why is the Supreme Court quiet on it? So law is only applicable to Ibrahim Mahama, not to other persons. I mean, this country does not belong to any particular person or individual, and you do as you please. No, the Honorable Suhini invoked the exclusive jurisdiction of the Supreme Court that per Article 268, the requirement is that you will. This one didn't go through ratification. In any case, the way to correct ratification, we all know what to do. You don't blame it on the individual, on that person, when the state ought to have done it. But I understand that there is some exploratory work going on. We are following it very closely with Rockshore and other partners. As and when appropriately they bring it to Parliament, we'll tell you what our position is. But I'm just saying that how come all of a sudden the matter relating to other mining agreements not meeting the minimum constitutional threshold, we are not able to make a determination of it? God save Ghana.
What is the state of the suits that Suhini took to court?
You should be finding out as journalists.
Most definitely, but you are privy to it and you are speaking to it now. What is the state of it?
I've raised the question, so go and do your work as journalists.
Most definitely I will.
Yeah, so
but
is
it the case that in its entirety you are totally against the Ajapa deal, or the aspect of it that if it's changed you will support it?
I have a lot of faith and respect in what Martin Amidu, then as special prosecutor, wrote on it. And I cannot shy away from the concerns that he so raised. And until those concerns are thoroughly and comprehensively responded in a manner that assures me that there's no risk of corruption, I'm unable to support it. And the NDC minority would not support it. In any case, we're simply saying, don't collateralize our mineral resources. Let's take it as we are doing, and we are fine with it. Because what this government is doing is to continuously borrow, embedding a government beyond 2025. Nana Addo Dankwa will not be in the seat. Somebody else will be.
Is that what your main issue is?
What must be my issue?
That the next government will be burdened. That is your problem. So
you are happy if your father and mother sold all your assets and property and left you with a bottle of water. You are happy. If you are so be it. I'm simply saying that that is not ethical. That is not right. And like I see you come from a village in Ashanti, so you inherit your uncle. Do you want your uncle to die naked when there is nothing for you tomorrow? Is that what you want?
All right. Let's move on to the U.S. State Department's report on human rights and corruption.
I've seen a number of Ghanaians, including civil society groups, attempting to water down and write down what the U.S. State Department have submitted as a report. First of all, it's an annual report. This is not the first of its kind. I just simply believe that we should read it thoroughly, understand the concerns raised by the U.S. State Department, and improve upon our human rights record, our freedoms record, and where necessary and appropriate, embark on institutional reforms to respond to the issues raised by the U.S. State Department. They just don't write. You see, so when the U.S. says that you are corrupt, shut up. You are corrupt. Why? The electronic wire, is it your system? Is it our system? They know what you're doing. And the U.S. State Department, accept it or not, the U.S. may have their own problems of human rights infractions in other parts of the world. But you cannot take it away from them that the U.S. remains a champion and a protector and guardian of fundamental human rights and freedoms. Look at the rule of law, its state, in all its facets in the United States. You can compare it to Ghana. They are saying that they have simply observed. Why? Is it the U.S. State Department which has said that your rating in terms of press freedom have come down? So when you read the U.S. State Department and they raise concerns about independence of the press, when now you journalists operate in fear, that is not acceptable, particularly for Nana Addo Dankwa, who championed fundamental human rights. You know that 3 days ago was 9th May. Sawa Kumi Preko was against VAT. It was against a tax instrument introduced then by the NDC. Now you hear them today saying childishly that the NDC is afraid of e-levy because it will bring in revenue. Were they afraid of VAT because it will bring revenue? Were they afraid of VAT? Was that their purpose? Because they knew that VAT was going to rake in revenue? That is why they were on the street leading to the deaths of innocent Ghanaians. They should come again. What is good for the goose must be good for the gander. Today on e-levy, you are saying that you need public support. When your support was being quoted on VAT, what was your position? In any case, VAT brings in more revenue than e-levy will bring. Go and check out your details. Now we hear a number of local factories are not too happy with government policy on the benchmark. We need to look at it. 1D, 1F, what has happened? You see a concentration of it in Accra, Tema. Why? Your village, they don't you need a 1D, 1F. So when they say one, they say one factory. It meant that they should have decentralized it so that in Boku through Bolga, through Nabdam, coming through Navrungu, I could see a meat or a tomato factory in the Upper East region, see something related to poultry, and cashew in the Brown Harbour region, and not give us stimulus to factories and industries in Accra. We are not even following up to find out how much they are contributing to employment, how much they are contributing to GDP, how much they are contributing to the decent work agenda. So there are issues. When they say they are superior managers of the economy, I've always used John Mahama, Excellency John Mahama's Terminal 3 at the airport, which is raking in its own revenue. At least I see in one report, $6 million recouped from it. Now take Tamale Airport and Kumasi Airport. The MPP is already dancing and celebrating. This is not their initiative. President Mahama cut the sword for the expansion of the two airports, and even further in his cabinet, got approval for the second phases of both Tamale Airport and Kumasi Airport. What changed was the financier saying that I'm pulling out for other reasons. But today, it is as if it's MPP which initiated expansion and repositioning Kumasi as an international airport. I'll share some detail with you.
Okay.
Let me just share this detail for the record.
Okay.
As far back 2013, then Chief Executive of IDF was Dr. Nasir Isaku, who later became Governor of Bank of Ghana. To let you understand the thinking of John Mahama and the NDC, were positioning Tamale and Kumasi for exports of horticultural products and fruit. We had to ask Honorable Amadou Sorgo, then chairman of the Trade Committee, together with Dr. Nasir Isaku and some team to go to Frankfurt, Germany, to understudy a coastal perishable center to be built for Tamale and Kumasi record. I'm sure the Ministry of Trade and Ghana Exim should have the record. So, far-reaching thinking. Now look at Ghana Exim. It was President Excellency John Dramani Mahama who transited again with my support and that of Honorable Setekpe, the Export Development and Export Financing Institution into Ghana Exim. Today, when they go and take money there and give credit to industry, they don't give credit to the NDC. It was our thinking. And you know, with Ghana Exim, no. I want to point out something significant. As for Ken Ofori-Atta, his specialization is borrowing and mortgaging every state asset against borrowing. Even Ghana Exim, he was going to take a loan in the name of Ghana Exim. Why? Sewa, Ghana Exim is the only bank, and I'm just going to share what we do with law, that we decided that their revenue string will be 0.50 of CRF of import. So they are not the type of bank that depends on customers' deposits. Yet, you have got to take a Swiss facility against them.
All right, let's go back to the U.S. State Department's reports.
What
and
about
link it to the Reporters Without Borders report on press freedom in Ghana. As a legislator, did it worry you how low we sank and government's response to that?
I'm not surprised, but I'm concerned. I'm not surprised at all because Nana Addo Dankwa is not practicing what he preached when he was in opposition. We've seen what the likes of Manasseh Azuri and others have been subjected to. We've seen journalists who were trying to cover events of national security have been humiliated and beaten, and national security officials responsible for it even promoted. We've seen that happen. But you see, you need an independent, fearless press. Article 162 of the Constitution guarantees it. In terms of media landscape, Ghana today, thanks to revolutionizing the electronic media space, can you count the number of television stations in Ghana? Can you count the number of FM stations in Ghana? Over 400. All that nurtures and sustains the expression of fundamental freedoms and human rights. And free speech is pivotal to it. So journalists should not be subjected to what we have seen them go through under the watch of Nana Addo Dankwa. It's always refreshing listening to the lead person on Radio I, Reku Brebe, when he speaks on this matter. And I want to associate myself with many of the comments that he has made about Ghana sinking very low on it. Nana Addo Dankwa is not contributing to better governance of this country when it comes to those freedoms. I agree that there must be responsibility, and therefore you media practitioners, no right is absolute. I've always maintained that your right to speak ends at my right not to listen, and therefore you must respect that. But I think generally, you saw the closure of FM stations in the country. Certainly, that will lower your standing in terms of your respect for the independent media. But generally, the media, you've done tremendously well in enriching our democracy and in enhancing fundamental free speech in our country. But we are not there yet. My biggest worry and concern is social media and the fact that it's unregulated and has become a toxic source of misinformation. I'm concerned about it. I am currently undertaking some legislation in Australia in order to be able to regulate social media. But even that, do we need that? But you know, reputation. When they publish unethical things about you that are not true, you have a right to safeguard your reputation. You probably want to be able to go to court. So our concern must be unregulated social media as a toxic source of misinformation, yet a good source of information too. What do we do with it? We need to strike a balance in the use of the social media. They are taking away a lot from the traditional media, as you've witnessed over the years. And my strong view is that the National Media Commission is not adequately resourced. Even monitoring, they don't have resources to be able to do it. They are not present in many regions of the country. And we are still there's still a turf war in Ghana between the NCA and National Media Commission, who controls content, who controls the electronic media. And I think we need to find some answers to it. And probably a suggestion would be to have the broadcaster bill passed into law, which will draw a distinction between the public broadcaster, private broadcaster, community broadcaster. Then we can situate all of you within a regulated regime of a classified broadcaster regime.
Okay.
But not when you still have the turf war between the National Communications Authority and the NMC. It's not for nothing that we got the NMC to sit on the board of the NCA, but that still remains an unresolved dispute between Minister for Communication and Information and between the NMC and the like.
Okay. Now, you're watching GHToday. If you just joined us, I'm here with the minority leader of Ghana's parliament. We have just a couple of minutes to wrap up the conversation, but I'm sure that you have seen the EIU reports on election 2024 and NDC's chances at winning the polls. Is this something that you are confident about?
The NDC will win the 2024 election. The only threat to it is a conspiracy of an electoral commission which may decide to collude with other political parties to rob us of our victory and to rob us at
That's
coalition.
what you said in 2020.
And this time, get my warning. The state security agencies, if they fail to demonstrate neutrality, the NDC will stand up to them in 2024.
When you say stand up to them, what exactly do you mean?
We will stand up to them because we have a right to self-defense. If they cannot act neutral, act responsibly, and decide that they are going to side with the ruling elite and ruling government, we will bear the consequences of it with them, because we want the sovereign will of the Ghanaian people to reflect at the 2024 elections. So we are confident that if John Dramani Mahama so declares and has the approval and support of the party, subject to his democratic processes, he would prevail. And as I said, we are confident that we will win any debate against them. If we are also to borrow 200 billion would have done much more better than them anywhere in any infrastructure than they have been able to do. And then when you heard Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia those days say that he has a key to arrest the depreciation of the cedi, I kept reminding Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that he thought that arresting depreciation of the cedi was as easy as stopping a trotro between Wulugu and Savulugu. No, economic management means a lot. If you want to be able to stop the depreciation of the cedi, you need to expand your exports and reduce import. It's only in Ghana that you see a government initiate a policy which rewards import. That is unacceptable. It affects your terms of trade, it affects your balance of trade, and it affects your currency. So when you say that you are doing better in terms of forex management, Sewa, if you inherited 4.2 cedi to a dollar, and today you are doing 7.5 cedi, I won't praise you today, I won't praise you tomorrow, because that is not good enough.
When the EIU says that you should look at your candidates and revitalize your prospects, how do you respond to that?
The party will examine the report. I'm not one of those who dismiss any research finding. There will be merit in some aspects of the report. But John Dramani Mahama remains our credible, formidable, strong candidate if we want to win 2024. I still believe that there are some wrongs he must right. Like we should assist him to have a more efficient coalition system. Both members of parliament must support the presidential candidate in what we do at the polling center, and more vigilant at the polling center. We're going to call for electoral reforms, and we're not going to accept this idea of regional coalition. Coalition of results should be consistent with the CI, which talks about an arithmetic and mathematical collation of results, polling station by polling station and constituency by constituency. And I'm confident that given the suffering of the Ghanaian people, as I've said, today Ghana is a bad example of rising cost of living, rising cost of doing business, not to talk about the politics of a kinky seller or a body seller. I mean, you know it, that businesses are reeling under excruciating pressure, not being able to predict and to be able to plan.
Okay.
Because of the irresponsible economic management of Nana Addo Dankwa and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. As for infrastructure, anybody who takes tax revenue can build it. Okay. Anybody who borrows just as they have borrowed will be able to do it.
All right. Mr. Haruna Iddrisu, I cannot let you go without asking you this. I mean, how do you respond to perennial backlash on car loans for members of parliament and the payment of ex gratia? Given the kind of uproar that it always received, do you think it's something that should be maintained?
I'll share this with you. Recently, we traveled to India, to the Lok Sabha, to study their parliament. And that reminds me that in India, the presiding person doesn't exercise a vote anyway, even in South Africa. But that's not what I intended to respond to. And as we're coming out, one of our colleagues from the New Patriotic Party observed that, can I imagine what their ministers and state persons are using as vehicles? Then I said, probably we have to go back to the John Atamil's days. The president will have to cut down on his convoy the number of vehicles that the president uses. You remember what John Evans Atamil's probably did? We probably have to domesticate it. Members of parliament will still have to travel. Don't measure a member of parliament simply by an MP for Osu. There's a member of parliament who comes from Tumu, who has to travel. And you must support him to be able to reach out to his constituents and to relate to his constituents. But I agree with you that government expenditure on vehicles, the number of years in the country, must be drastically reduced, and it can't be looked at. Now, there's some argument that, which is what happens in Kenya and other jurisdictions, probably you can work out the MP's vehicle as part of the pay package of the member of parliament, not in the category of a loan, and probably the member of parliament will be able to service it. But Sewa, don't take it for granted. We contribute into servicing the loan. So it's not for free. It's deducted monthly from our salaries. Have you asked the other organs of state? They say we are co-equal organs of state. Whether members of the executive service loans for the vehicles they use, no. Members of the judiciary, no. So be fair to the legislative organ.
How about the payments of ex gratia?
But as a holistic, Article 71, I've been Minister for Employment and Labor. Labor have always been very critical about it. So it was the view, and again, John Dramani Mahama Excellency those days with Terry Darko of the Employers Association. We engaged labor. I think this meeting was in Secondary Takrade, where we discussed an amendment to the Constitution on Independent Emoluments Committee. We need that. The Independent Emoluments Committee will make a determination of some of these matters.
But as a member of parliament, what do you suggest we do?
That's what I'm saying.
Should we scrap it?
No, let the Independence Emoluments
What do you think?
Committee. No, I say Independence Emoluments Committee, let it work. By the way, when we started, you have to be reminded that when the Supreme Court ruled that the threshold for decision in Parliament was 138, which is what the minority relied on to err not voting because of the 137, 136 plus cum. He can, by our rules, vote. So it probably could have been a defeat of 137, 136. We needed to keep 11 on the banner. But the Supreme Court, in its ruling on that matter, because we are ending there, emphasize supremacy of the Constitution. The Constitution is supreme, and the Constitution and the law is above President Nana.
I am asking you that what do you think we should do with regards to the payment of ex gratia? Should we scrap it?
Independent Emoluments Committee should determine it.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
MPs are not paid well. Let me put it on record. Members of Parliament. I've traveled to many jurisdictions across the world, and
MPs are not paid well.
Yes, are not paid
MPs
well
in Ghana here.
Yes.
So why don't you quit?
Probably it's still public service, but they are not paid well compared to other legislatures. So quote me right.
But this is Ghana.
Not compared to other public.
This is Ghana.
Servants earning.
This is Ghana. This is Ghana. So you cannot want to compare your salary to people in other jurisdictions.
Democracy is expensive, so you ought to
if you are poorly paid, you might as well just come and sit at home and find other businesses to do, no?
All right, I've heard you.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. Haruna Iddrisu is minority leader of Ghana's parliament, a member of parliament for Tamale South. I am Sewami here. Stay with me. After the break, we have a conversation with our friends from Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital.